Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Ecclesiastes with Dan Irvin.
Well, as we're back looking at chapter 10 of Ecclesiastes here, wrapping up our look at this chapter this week, Ecclesiastes has been throughout, if you followed along on this journey, a book about asking hard questions about life. What really matters? What is it that will stand the test of time in life? Verse 16 in chapter 10 says this: "Woe to the land whose king was a servant and whose princes feast in the morning." This is an image here of leadership that's indulging in pleasure rather than using the position that they might have for the good of other people, squandering the time they have in foolish living. You might be thinking, well, I'm not a king or a prince, so what does this have to do with how I live today? But in reality, I think all of us have been given some influence somewhere in our lives, whether it's in our families and where we work or the friends that we have influence somewhere. We have time, relationships, resources, all of these things. Ecclesiastes is calling us, imploring us to steward in a wise way, to take care of in a wise way. And the prevailing question in Ecclesiastes and in this chapter, in chapter 10, and these few remaining verses is this: are we living for what is fleeting? Are we living for what will be gone like that, a puff of smoke? Or are we living for what will be eternal, what will last forever? These verses, closing verses in chapter 10, they highlight two ways of living. On one hand, we can indulge, living for whatever it might be, the next thrill, the next meal, the next distraction, the next weekend. This is the life of chasing comfort, living for the short term, ignoring the bigger questions of life. It's not just about leadership here. It's really about all of us, any of us. Are we spending our lives living for things that are temporary? Verse 20, there's a warning here about the power that our words have. It says this in verse 20: "Do not revile the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird in the sky may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say." This is a more poetic way of saying, basically, our words matter. They reveal something about our hearts. This was yesterday's 5 Good Minutes, if you listened. We often think that our words really don't matter if no one hears them, but here we learn otherwise. We're accountable for not just what we do in public, where people see, but in the private moments, in the private state of our own hearts, as we think about people, as we talk about people. So what are you building your life on? Do you live in this world as if this world is it? This is all that there is? Or are you living in a different way with an eternal view? We naturally are drawn towards comfort, towards protecting ourselves, towards the short term, what might feel good in the moment. But the good news of Jesus, the gospel, it kind of reorients that way of thinking, because Jesus, the true and perfect King, we know that he didn't live in this way. He didn't live for himself. He gave up everything, his position, his power, his life, so that we might have eternity, the gift of eternal life. I think when we see what Jesus has done, it can change the way that we live. No longer do we have to be bound by a need to hoard or indulge or just chase after whatever it is, the next thing. Instead, we are freed up to live in a generous way, to use our influence for the good of others, to use our resources wisely, to steward them, not because we're trying to earn favor, but because we have already everything we need in Jesus and what he has done. So to live with eternity in view is not just to reject joy, but to embrace a deeper sense of joy. It's saying, I won't settle for what's temporary because I've been offered something better. This is the wisdom that Ecclesiastes calls us to, and this is what Jesus makes possible for us. Ecclesiastes, remember, it's about life being brief. The Hebrew word, hevel, everything is hevel, like a puff of smoke, a mist, a vapor. Our lives are quick. So in that respect, our lives matter even more because we have little time. We should enjoy life. We should embrace the good meal, the good friends, the moments, but embrace it and know it with eternity in mind, knowing that the only thing that matters is what's on the other side of this world. So where is your hope? Are you living for what fades, or are you living for what will stand the test of time? This is the invitation today to see Jesus as the treasure that outlasts every passing pleasure. And we can let his grace free us to live with eternity in mind.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.